We got everybody.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what happened here?
Hi, Mike. There you are. Did you get my voicemail? Oh, he's connecting.
I did. I mean, I didn't think you wanted me to call you back with
I just-
5 minutes to go before the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to make sure you knew I tried.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to everybody. So we'll just see how it goes.
All good. All good. Well, let's call the meeting to order. Are we live, Alex?
Yeah, it's on YouTube right now. I'm the only one watching.
Okay. So reminder that we do have potentially public at least observing, and today we're going to try something different whereby Alex has the ability to field relevant and brief questions from our public if they choose to do so. So we will, and we're going to do something a little different in that since it's a short agenda and big decisions to be talked about, let's have those questions on topic before any vote that would take place, if it's agreeable to the board.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so Alex, I guess you maybe need to raise your hand or signal me in some way if a question comes forward.
We'll do it
That's
this way.
fair.
All right, so you ready to go or?
One other quick thing, Adam, Laura brought to my attention that a few motions that she tried to make in the last and first Zoom meeting did not get noticed. So for that, I apologize. I think at least my computer is working better today, or something is new where his person is highlighted. So hopefully I won't miss that, and I'm sorry. We also will have roll call votes just like we did last time. And I'll just kind of go across the screen and ask for a yes or no. All right. Adam, I think that puts you up.
All right, well, I guess we're gonna switch up a little bit. The biggest ticket on the agenda is the purchase of an off-road carrier truck, which we have been talking about for a little bit now and discussing in the finance meeting. One of the things that we had discussed prior is looking for a used vehicle, a newer used vehicle, and then we also have budgeted $200,000 for the purchase of an off-road truck in our proposed bond revenue for about 2 years. What I have done is found a off-road carrier truck that we have been renting from McAllister, a Cat 725, which I have discussed with them, and then do have a purchase agreement and have talked with the bank regarding financing. We did receive an email from Mike about a potential another truck that was available. So I guess we can open up discussion regarding the vehicles on that. I guess first off, I would like to say that when we've looked for equipment in the past, we've generally tried to look for stuff under 6,000 hours or under 8,000 hours. From my research and from talking to some of the other mechanics, once you start to get into the 10,000 hour range, you're starting to look for some major repairs to offer articulated trucks, such as transmissions, hydraulic lifters, and that type of thing, which is one of the reasons that I was looking at a newer used truck, definitely under 6,000 hours, and then finding this one with 2,800 hours on it. I thought was pretty nice. The price is right in line with that, with the research I've done online. So I guess just time to open it up to discussion. It is a critical piece of equipment. The McAllister, we have been renting this for a little over 3 weeks now, which is about $12,000 rental. They did say, you know, with the purchase, they would waive the rental fees. If we were to start researching additional vehicles and have to rent this out longer, it's a little over $3,000 per week that we rent it. So there's something to keep in consideration. Since we were looking for a newer used truck with low hours, and there weren't very many that we could find, we had talked to the attorney about a special purchase, since this is fitting our needs and critical to the operation, about utilizing a special purchase. and not the entire bid process. So if we are potentially going to look at other vehicles, I think that would kind of negate the special purchase, and one vehicle that's hard to find fitting the needs kind of instigate that. So that would put us about a month out before we can, be ready to purchase again.
I looked for that email to try to look at what the attorney had said. Oh, I forgot to raise my hand. So could you go into that a little bit more about the special purchase? Why looking at another option would negate that?
Yeah, so generally on used equipment, since we're over the $100,000 mark, you would utilize a full bid process where you send out requests for proposals and bid process. What you can do if you're looking at equipment that's critical to an operation, essentially unable to do the operation with it, and if there's low amounts of vehicles that meet the specifications, you could justify a special purchase as long as we go ahead and receive quotes for similar items, and kind of bypass that full bid process. And we did reach out and get quotes for multiple companies regarding machines around that size. A couple of them are larger, but they were in the 6,000 to 8,000 hour range. I also found a 725 from a sister company from McAllister, that was right around $300,000. So we kind of served our due diligence of looking at the machines from that aspect.
So you're saying we would have to look at other 8,000 hour, 2008 vehicles. Okay. So
Yeah, there's a plethora of 8,000 plus hour vehicles out there, because they are relatively used trucks. So I don't think we could say that it was hard to find, just one of these. And I think since we're looking at a broad range of equipment at that time, I think we would kind of have to go through the bid process.
Thank you.
Adam, why are we even considering going with older equipment? I mean, I get that it's less money, but it seems like we're borrowing problems by doing that. And didn't the financial committee already select this particular one to purchase? I mean, wasn't that the reason for your committee to do that?
That is correct. At the past two meetings, we had looked at getting newer used vehicles with lower hours, and we did bring this vehicle along with the 6,000 hour ones to the committee, and had decided to recommend this purchase to the board.
Okay, I feel like it makes sense to buy something newer because we're gonna have less problems with it. Even saving money in the long run, it may cost us more money. As you said, they have problems a lot, and then you have to have all the repairs made. And then during that, you have downtime. So it doesn't make sense to buy something older, I don't think.
Mary Jane?
I would echo what Laura said. I feel that going with a vehicle that has that many more hours on it is like throwing good money after bad. I also feel that Adam has done his due diligence. The finance task group has reviewed this, and we agreed a week ago today to make this recommendation to the full board. So I'm not sure why we're debating at this point.
Les?
Yeah, I guess I'll just jump in there and voice my support too for buying the newer vehicle. Besides, we're already saving 12 grand, I guess. If we went otherwise, we'd have to cough that money up, and no sense buying a beater, and as you say, with the downtime, then that just sets us back even more. And between all the stuff that we got to keep going and keeping the dredging going, it just sounds like the newer piece of equipment, even though it costs more, like they say, you get what you pay for.
Mr. Blackwell, you are the gentleman who has thrown out some new ideas. I'd like to give you a minute to tell us about what happened over the weekend and what your thoughts are.
Friday afternoon, Quentin from CNC Equipment contacted myself and Frank Van Overmyeren and said that he had several machines, they're John Deere machines, and that basically stated that we would be spending more money on a newer machine than we would on one of his older machines. He suggested that oh, I have a dog barking, and I hear a motor running. Is that because of Alex?
No, it's because they're cutting a big tree in my neighbor's yard a couple doors.
All right. So, basically Clinton Chitwood from CNC Equipment, and as I told the finance group, I looked at the McAllister's website. I looked over hundreds and hundreds of trucks. Adam did find a very nice truck from McAllister. I was on the finance group and I did approve overwhelmingly to buy that truck until I got this information on Friday. According to a subject matter expert, I'm going to call Clinton Chitwood that, he suggested that we buy a machine somewhere between 2004 and 2010 before the pre-emission standards. And basically the pre-emission standards is when they started adding diesel exhaust fluid to a new tank and then burning the particulate matter out of the exhaust system. It's a 2010 later, mostly diesel, it's all diesel equipment that they say that that's the problem we're going to get into with him. Now, so he actually found a 2008 with 88,000 hours on it. It's a 30-ton, according to Clint. He went and looked at our 25-ton truck at the disposal site. He said his 12-year-old truck has a higher bucket, a larger bucket, that the older trucks had larger payloads because they had more power. The newer trucks don't have the power because of the emission standards. I'm learning a lot in the last 3 days. So, you know, I will tell you, and I'm almost finished, but back in 2012, Butch Evans gave us an appraisal on all of our equipment that we had at that time. The 87 off-road truck, now that's an 87 that just finally crapped out on us after 33 years. You know, that thing lasted 33 years. At the time that Butch Evans appraised that truck, there was no hourly gauge on it. I imagine there's still no hour gauge on it now. The hours are unknown. But that truck at the time in 2012 was appraised at $45,000 8 years ago. I really don't think we're hurting ourselves by getting an older truck with some hours on it, especially when the guy that's going to be delivering it to us is so local. We could create a strategic partnership for him to maintain all of our equipment. And, you know, it just seems like that $100,000, Kevin Fagan told me to have a pro and con list for you. So, you know, the pros is $100,000 in savings. The cons is it's an older truck, but so was the 87 Caterpillar. I mean, I know that it's difficult that, you know, Adam got that truck here. I hate that fact that I got this so late, but it is what it is. The 2008 truck that I'm talking about really only averaged 600 hours a year when the 2017 truck averaged about 1,500 hours a year. So, I mean, there's probably more things that I can tell you about, but it is what it is. If you guys want to buy the newer truck for $200,000, $235,000, here's the other thing is we could pay cash for this 2008 truck and not have to pay the 2.5% times 4 years, which is another $24,000. So it's just, I think that everybody should be aware that there are Adam mentioned it. There are lots of trucks out there. I never looked for a John Deere until Clinton contacted me this weekend. So it is really just a John Deere versus a Cat, and it's the pre-emission system versus the older system. I'm telling you what I know. I'm not an expert. I even told Les to call CNC because I don't have the answers. But that's my pitch to you. And it's, at this point, it's up to the board.
And I would just like to interject a little bit that when we first started the truck, we were hoping to find a broker here in Indianapolis to help us look, multi-state wide. And we actually did reach out to CNC at that time, and they told us that while they do see the trucks on occasion at auction, that they do not deal with that type of truck, with that type of equipment. Because we did reach out to see, since they were local, based on the recommendations of others, to see, if we could reach out and if they could help us find that. And at the time, they told us they do not deal with that type of equipment. Go ahead, Mike.
Adam, that is absolutely correct. And I got the same thing from Jay. And today, Jay told me what he meant was they don't market that. They have none of them parked on their lot because they don't deal with them. There's no market for them here in Brown County. But he said, we do work on them and we can get them. And I think that was the misconfusion that he had with you and myself at the time when I talked to him during our first finance meeting. I reached out to him. So you are correct. But they have, I can't remember how many trucks he said. He's got several trucks between a 2004 and a 2010. He recommended this 2008. Just happened to be the one that he recommends. But you are correct.
How long has CNC been in business? I'm thinking only a couple of years.
16.
At that location.
Well, they built after the flood.
Mm-hmm.
They built there after the flood, but they've been in business since 2004.
And McAllister?
They've been around for a long time. I think CNC's historically done restorations on military vehicles.
From
They
the
do have.
looks of the lot, yes, that appears to be their bailiwick.
I like the fact that McAllister is a national brand that has been around for a long time and has been working with us on the truck. The biggest things that we're getting into is the potential risks for high cost repairs once you get into that 8, 9, 10,000 hour range. I did talk with a mechanic at Caterpillar regarding emissions equipment and maintenance and replacement. The biggest thing that they said on there is a diesel particulate filter, which he said when they first started using it in the early 2010s, Caterpillar recommended replacing this filter every 5,000 hours. They said they no longer recommend that, and they're seeing these filters are lasting well over 10,000 hours and potentially as long as the life of the machine. Now, when we got into replacement costs on that, he said if you were to buy a brand new one, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 for costs if you need to do it, but that you can bring yours into shops and get them remanufactured for $500. So I don't believe there's going to be much of an increased cost due to the emissions system. Really, I think it just comes down to we can buy an older truck from a company that's newly. I'm sure CNC is a good company, but there weren't a heavy equipment company when we called them 2 months ago when we were first starting this process. And once you're getting to 8,000 hours, if you look at some of these different mechanical websites, getting into transmissions, differentials, hydraulics, motor repair. What I would hate for us to do is for us to save $100,000 now, then we're just seeing increased downtime and we get a great relationship going because we need repairs more frequently than we would otherwise.
Has McAllister been repairing all of our equipment in the past, or?
We use McAllister quite a bit, yes.
Les, did you have a question?
Well, yeah, I was just gonna just talk about the service thing. I mean, it sounds like McAllister would be more qualified to do the work on it because they're the dealer, where these other guys, I mean, if they only see these vehicles every now and then, they may not have the expertise or the tools or the know-how to take care of it. And so I think that's another reason maybe just to go with McAllister, in that they are the local experts for that particular model.
Well, and they're not far away. I mean, you know, I don't know that having somebody right in Brown County is that big of an advantage either. So, because McAllister actually has a rental facility in Bloomington.
They do, and that's a lot of our relationship because we actually rent skid steers and smaller equipment off them quite a bit for debris removal.
Debbie, what other questions do you have? You sit on this group, finance group, and I want to
Well,
make sure.
I think one clarification would be the number of hours that we use it a year, because I get all of Mike's points, and $100,000 is a lot of money, and we could use 100,000 towards something else. By the same token, we don't want to buy, you know, something that's not going to work for us. And I'm the first person to admit that this is not in my wheelhouse, you know, so I'm just relying on what I'm hearing about the information. But how many hours do we normally use it?
When we figured it up, we were looking at mid 400s, about 425 to 450 hours for the year. Now, having a full-time operator, we would hope that that number of hours would increase, because now we'll have somebody to work over the winter time, so we can do, you know, dirt removal later. We can start site prep earlier, and we're not going to be limited by the number of hours.
Mike,
Hey, Alex, Scott Adamson doesn't know how to sign in. Can you sign him in?
Can I, like to the YouTube?
Well, I don't know. He says he's trying to sign in to ask you a question, and he texted me, so I didn't know.
Oh, he has to, so he technically has to create a channel. So you basically just click whatever it tells you to click there to create a channel, and
Okay,
then it will take you to another page. Just click yes.
Or
okay.
maybe he could just text you the question and you could just
that might be simpler.
that might be easier. Just tell him to give you the question, Mike.
Yeah, that's what I'll tell him. You know, I don't know how much more information I can give you. I trust this. I trust this Clinton guy, Adam. I think you know Jay, or you're familiar with Jay at CNC. You know, it's just if we're only using it 500 hours a year or less. And by the way, the barge hasn't even been on the water, so I don't know how we're even using the truck now. Are we using it for site prep?
Yeah, the site's been prepped, and the barge is on the water doing debris removal today.
Okay, because I was down all last week and I didn't see it, so I didn't know how much use we were getting out of the dump truck. But you know, using a truck less than 500 hours a year and paying $235,000 for it plus interest, you know, that's going to put us about $255,000. Whereas I understand we'd have to send that one back and we'd have to pay $12,000 in rental, but I still see that there would be with 255 minus the 130, we'd still have $120,000 in savings. So that's really what I want people to understand is it's quite a considerable savings, and I trust CNC. I stopped by them this morning, and I trust what they have to offer us. The guy's really not making a whole lot of money on this purchase if we're going to go that route.
Mary Jane, Les was in line with before Mike.
Okay.
I'll get to you. Les?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Adam, just to clarify, the current dollar amount on the table is how much?
225.
And will that $12,000 rental thing come off of that?
No, they're waiving the rental fees. We've had it for about 3 weeks now, and they're just going to waive the rental fees completely.
Oh, okay. So in other words, it'd be the 225 plus another 12.
It'd just be the
Well-
25. There'd be no 12 on them.
We wouldn't pay the 12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. Okay, all right.
Mary
But
Jane? You have a, Debbie, just 1 second. Mary Jane was just ahead of you.
I guess I would like to know what causes Mike to trust Clinton Chitwood.
I've been in the fire service for 35 years. I think I have a pretty good thing about me where I can, when I meet someone, I can tell that they know what they're talking about. They're not just blowing me a line of crap. When I talked to Clinton today, he was very consistent, and he reiterated. He goes, hey, I don't want to see you spend more money on a newer machine than on this older machine I can get you. This older machine will last you longer than a decade. You got to remember, we had an 87 Cat 40 ton, a 1987 Cat 40 ton that lasted us 33 years or 32. It did
Nine
on its 32nd year. We don't even know how many hours that thing had on it. But we know it didn't have more than 500 a year. So, we don't know where Dick Payne bought that truck from. But, if Dick Payne owned it for the however many years he used it to dredge, and then we used it for another 12, and then another 8 after Butch Evans, I was going to reach out to Butch Evans just to see, because he would be another subject matter expert. But that's really... I thought that I saw that the purchase was $235 and not $225, but I thought that I read $235. I could be wrong.
225, 610, and the 610 is they were given a 1 year powertrain warranty.
So then plus the 2.5% times 4 years.
Debbie, you had a question? I don't mean to cut you off, Mike, but Debbie's kind of been waiting.
I'm sorry.
Oh, gosh, I think I've kind of like spaced it at this point. I don't know what it was.
If I may keep going.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that Adam put something in the email that our bed, our tailgate would need to be reconfigured, Adam.
Well, that's going to be on any truck just to kind of seal it up better, but we can do that in-house. Clinton can
Okay.
weld them.
Okay, all right.
Mary Jane?
I guess I'm still back at why we had talked particularly in the strategic planning committee about the need for us to begin to behave like a bigger business. And we're going to have new things that we're doing. We're going into a major dredging project that will change. It's not just we're not going to use this truck just the way we'd use the old truck. And again, I would echo what Debbie said. This kind of stuff isn't in my wheelhouse either, but it just doesn't make sense to me to go buy something that's that used. Particularly when once we're able to get going, we need to be able to move with some confidence and not have to constantly worry that the equipment's going to break down. And I would also say that I think, if Adam went and spoke to CNC and they didn't offer this up, I think it's odd that this happened this way and this late in the game. And so I'm still, we can talk all afternoon, but I'm still supporting the purchase as it's outlined in the board packet.
I make a motion, we vote on it.
Thank you.
Can I make one comment?
Yes, you may.
Sorry, Les. I remembered what I was going to say. I think that the one thing that probably makes me it's a tough one, this risk reward. I think we might get that 2008 and be just fine with it. We probably have some repairs, but maybe there would be some reliability issues. I think what's got me thinking maybe we should go ahead with our current plan is because of this bidding process and this special purchase that we would have to go through. That puts us behind another month. And I told Adam when I talked to him today, I'm really sorry that this purchase is just now coming to the board because this thing broke down in November, and we need to be running now, so that, if it really does pull us out because it seems like this is one example and we need an inspection on it or something, and we would have to go look at other comparable 2008s or whatever. I feel like if that's true, Adam, and that's the legal advice, then, we're not just a 12,000 rental, we're like another month at least of rentals. Am I saying that right? Did I understand you correctly?
That's correct. Yeah, if we have to rent this out for the bid process to continue moving on, we're probably looking at over $20,000 to $25,000 in rental fees between the 3.5 weeks we've had this vehicle and that next month. And we are out doing debris now, so we should be digging, if not this week, next week, at the latest. So we're on the ground. We've been utilizing this truck in the disposal site. We've done all of our site prep and moving dirt with it. So we've had a chance to kind of shake it down and test it out. Yeah.
Unless there are any questions, and I'm not seeing a hand up, Alex, from our public or
No,
Mike,
Kathy
is there
said she's here and Kevin said he's here, but nobody's asking any questions right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Les has asked that we to make a motion to vote on this. I would concur. Les, would you like to do that?
Yes, I make a motion that we vote on purchasing Adam's proposed vehicle from
It has been
McAllister.
moved. Second, please.
I second.
Second,
Laura, did you second first? I don't want to miss you again.
It doesn't matter.
All right.
Somebody
I think
seconded.
Laura beat me to it.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded that we support Adam's purchase agreement. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just one more thing. We wouldn't be down for a month. The guy can get the truck down here this week and it could be delivered to the dump site this week. So it's and same deal that McAllister's given. But I see what did Bert Servas say? I see the complexion of the board right now. So I will hold my discussion. We could get the machine that I'm talking about here in a week, but I'm okay for you to call for a vote.
But it's also not just, let's be clear. If we go with the other option, then we have to spend more time, right?
That's what I understand.
The bidding process, yes.
Because of the bid process.
Well, but okay, but it would be the same. He would have the truck here. We would be using the truck. We would have a
Oh,
purchase
and he
agreement.
He
I
would
mean,
give
it'd be
us
no
a
different
rental.
it'd be no different than what Adam has spent the last 6 weeks on. I commend him for it. He did a great job. He got the truck here. He made the deal. This came in last minute. But it would be the same deal. We would get the truck delivered. We would use the truck. Is it a nice truck? Yeah, it's got a bigger payload. The guy would come to the disposal site and do whatever necessary adjustments to the payload as what does Clinton has to do. But the truck could be delivered this week. It could be delivered today. But it sounds to me like the board wants to spend more money on a newer truck. And I agreed with that a week ago. Mary Jane is correct. I agreed with it. But this is going to be a $245,000 purchase at the end of 4 years. And so that's where I wanted to bring to the board something other than the one that I said, yeah, because I researched Caterpillar. I never looked at John Deere ever until Clinton brought it up to me. It is what it is. We could have that truck here this week.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So back to the motion. I think we've talked about as much as we need to in my opinion. Les?
Can I just say one thing, Pam?
Yes, you may.
I'm sorry. I think it might be important, like, I respect the governance process that we had with this finance task group. I think Mike did go back to the other members that aren't part of this board on that finance task group. And I don't know what they said, but you know, they were part of that decision too. I just wanted you to know that he did go back and talk to them, I think.
Yeah, thank you. I talked to Kevin, and Kevin was, I thought, pretty much in agreement with me. Malcolm was also pretty much in agreement. And I tried to talk to Mary Jane earlier, and she asked me to wait for the board meeting. So
So,
those were the communications that I had with people today.
and I asked you to wait for the board meeting because when you got this information, you gave it to the board. You didn't give it to the task group. And this was where we were already at this point. That's
Right.
why I have
Right.
a.
And I didn't have a problem with it. What I wanted, because we're citing back to the planning group that voted on this truck that Adam had found, I wanted them to know that, hey, there may be another option. What did they think? And I thought that, and I know Kevin said he's all for saving the 100,000 plus at this point in time. And I think Malcolm was pretty interested in it too. So I wanted to talk to everybody, which is why I reached out to you, Mary Jane.
No, and that.
Yeah, so
I understand that.
I think you're right. We can talk about this till the cows come home. You know, again, I'm in favor of saving a little bit of money. I like this. I like this truck that they found. It's a John Deere. And I'm pretty sure the 2017 truck's a nice truck. Adam has said it's a nice truck. Clinton likes it. So right now it's up to a vote.
Okay, appreciate that. And I would like to add one note. Adam has done a lot of work on this, and I appreciate your patience with this last late-breaking scenario. We always need to consider things like this. I don't like surprises, but I'm not going to ignore them if they come up and seem like a better scenario, and I will always be a board that listens.
Thank you.
Having said that, Les has made the motion that we accept the purchase agreement for the 2017 vehicle. And Laura, I believe, seconded that motion.
Mhm.
We're going to do a roll call vote. I'm just going to go across the board. That's for to satisfy the public access counselor's rules. Mary Jane,
I,
Laura,
Aye.
Debbie.
Dude, I'm just
That's
so
not a vote.
upset on this. Do I have to vote?
You can abstain. Would you like me to come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay, Les,
I'm in favor. Aye.
Mr. Blackwell.
I'm a no.
Okay, Pam, I'm an aye. Debbie, I'm back to you.
I think I'm going to go on a no on that because I think it's a lot of money and I feel like the old one has lasted a long, long time. And
Okay,
well,
so
no.
that would be four ayes. Let the record show 4 ayes and 2 nays. Motion carries.
Okay.
Thanks to everyone for your input. So
Yeah,
Adam,
I want to make just one more comment, Madam Chair, if I may. Look,
yes,
I got this information on Friday, regardless of what, you know, people are saying or whatever. I got this information on Friday. I passed it on as quickly as I got it. So
I understand. Appreciate that.
it was last minute. Don't know how else to put it, but it is what it is.
It'd be great if we had a crystal ball. We could
Yeah,
see.
mine isn't working.
Well, I don't think any of us has that kind of power. So, all right. So Adam, we did switch the next item on the agenda would be the loan agreement. with Peoples.
Would be the state bank loan proposal. As a government entity, we are allowed to do direct negotiation with finance agencies that can work within the state of Indiana. What we are limited to is a 2-year initial term. We can't extend that for an additional 2-year term. We reached out to a handful of banks in Bloomington. Most of them came in between 3.25 and 3.5% for a rate. People's State Bank, who we currently bank with, said they could do 2.5% and at 235,000 for, which we'll only need the 225 now, but at 2.5% on a 2-year balloon loan with the option to renew that for an additional 2 years with like terms. And
So
the
does that
idea- no,
Does that resolution amount change then? Because the board materials we had, I think that was the confusion that Les brought up between the 235,000 loan versus 225 purchase price.
yeah, and we can change that. I mean, essentially, when they cut the check, it'll just be for 225 when the bank does it. But the initial negotiations were at 235. So it will be. We can note on the resolution that the final purchase price was 225. That'll be fine. The goal on this is going to be to have the bonding money from the SRF, hopefully yet this year to start the project, to where we can pay this off and avoid any more interest than we would have had having just done it with the SRF loan. So I just want to, remind people that we did have $200,000 in the potential bond monies last year and this year in our annual budget. And so the goal would be to purchase the truck now as a quick financing option to keep the operation moving. And then once we receive the bond monies, to go ahead and pay that off.
Okay, any questions on that, on this topic? Mary Jane? Or
No,
you just-
I was just scratching my head.
Okay. So you need a motion
Yes.
for us to accept the loan agreement as printed?
Yes.
I make that motion.
Laura makes that motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? So we'll do a roll call vote again, and I would say that if you voted no to the first point, you should do the same for this.
Now, why would that be?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not, never mind, forget that. I guess you can vote whichever you want, but it did kind of go, they kind of go together.
Well,
not
not
necessarily.
really.
No, that's not, no. Look, all I did was bring up another opinion, another option.
Right, we're over that. We're good.
Okay, so.
Yeah, we're
I
good.
was all-
Okay, all right.
Buying this truck a week ago. This just came
Say
up.
again, you cut out.
Well, I don't understand why I would have to vote the same as how I voted.
You don't, I guess that was incorrect on my part. I apologize.
Okay.
Are we ready? Are we ready to
I
vote
was
on the loan
I
agreement?
was answering a question on my phone.
Pardon
Yeah,
me?
I think we're ready to vote,
Oh,
Pam.
okay, all right. We'll do a roll call again. Mary Jane,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Debbie,
Aye.
Les,
Aye.
Mike.
Pam, what are we voting on?
We are voting on the loan agreement with People's State Bank,
Aye, I'm an aye.
okay? And I am an aye as well. Motion carries. Let the record reflect that was 6 ayes. Yeah. Okay, very
All
good.
right. So on to other aspects of the sediment project. We have applied for our Rule 5 permit, which is our land disturbance permit for the development of the 2 disposal sites on South Shore Drive, the overflow pond, which does not have a design yet, and the land-based site right across in Little Africa. We do have kind of the basic designs, fill areas, which goes under the Rule 5. It's essentially what is called a stormwater management pollution plan. What we will be doing in the next couple steps, moving along with the permitting, is what I'm looking to do with this amendment, which is $11,500, is 3 parts. And it's all kind of broken down in there. The first part is I would like to get some additional cost estimates from Christopher Burke regarding what it would take to hire out the creation of the land-based disposal site. And then also we'll have cost estimates for the development of the wetland plan and the implementation of that. And that's a very small part of the $11,000. That's $1,000 that they have on there as an estimate. The second part of this is what's called a 401 and 404 permit, which is a dredge fill permit and an effluent permit, or waters of the US permit. And what these will do is actually allow us to put the soil into the overflow pond, and it will regulate our conditions for the effluent of water that flows back to the pond. Now with the 401 and 404 permit on here, this is the bulk of the money within this addendum. It's $6,500. What they do in this plan though, aside from just the permitting, is that they will create an emergent and submergent wetland design and planting plan to go along with that. So we'll be able to work with them and start actually looking at what the design will be. Through my discussions with Christopher Burt and even the Army Corps of Engineers, the recommendation is that instead of just applying, saying we want to put dirt in here, throw your regulations at us, is to apply with the design that we've discussed in the past, which would be a 1-for-1 mitigation, where we can utilize the overflow pond as a disposal site, and they would consider the creation of a emergent wetland there as a net positive, and let that be considered the mitigation for the project. So the biggest part on this is getting the design and planting plan to utilize the overflow pond, and get the permits for that. Now, if we decide that we don't want to do this, or if the regulations come back less stringent than we are hoping, they do have in here that they are only going to proceed with the design and planting plan after discussions with IDEM, DNR, and the Army Corps of Engineers. That way we're not just going ahead with a plan that they don't believe is going to work. So that's part of it. The third part of this is geotechnical investigation. This is $4,000 of the 11.5, and what that is actually going to go is they're going to go in and they're going to do geotechnical boring on the land-based site. Now, what that's going to allow us to do is see how far we can actually dig down in the different areas to see how deep we can actually create our sediment retention pond. The permitting that we applied for is based on a 17-foot pond, essentially a 10-foot dig, a 10-foot pond below ground level excavation, and then a 7-foot berm around the edge of that. With that right there, we were looking at those little over 80,000 yards that we could fit in that one site of material. And I want to say off the top of my head, every foot that we can put the berm above 7 feet was close to an additional 7,000 yards. So this will really let us get a more realistic and accurate depiction of what we can do for our sediment disposal site there. I think they are all pretty critical to the entire project. I think it's information that we need to have. So I would like to see if there's any questions about that.
Mike?
I guess as we continue talking about the overflow pond, that kind of lies in my district. So I'm wondering if maybe should we, meet these folks again before we, vote on any use of their pond. I know we can use it. I know that's been determined, but should we have some sort of maybe sit down? I've never sat down with them like you guys have. And
When we discussed that at the last SPC meeting, I told them that we would get with them once we start to get into the design process. So I think we need to have this plan. Essentially, there's two aspects of this. If we utilize funding from state revolving fund, we're going to be required to utilize the overflow pond and create the wetland mitigation site, the emergent wetland.
Thank you for that. So what I would ask you is that when we do vote for this, that is in your description. That we will sit down and, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Because some of the main concerns were still wanting to have open water, have some reflections. And I think there's quite a bit of design that can go in there to create an aesthetically pleasing environment for them. I don't want to go in and just fill it in and wipe it out and turn it into a field. I'd like it to be environmentally beneficial and visibly.
And maybe, I don't know, with that $11,000, Chris Burke could maybe draw something up to what it's going to look like.
That will have with the design and planting plan, that will have design drawings showing what it would look like, what the planting plan would be. So we would have, essentially we'd end up with a document that we would give to the regulatory agencies that says, here's what our design plan is.
Okay.
And they will base that on, I mean, there's certain percentages of open water that are required, certain percentages of vegetation. So they'll take that all into consideration. Yeah, and we will meet with the residents on the pond to get some engagement and opinion on it.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Mary Jane, did you have a comment?
No, I was just trying to calm my dog down.
Okay, you're, all right.
So if there's no more discussion, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the amendment to the permitting contract with Christopher Burke for the amount of $11,500.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Debbie. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Laura. It has been moved. Mary Jane, are you back? Oh, there you go.
Can you hold on one second? Do you want me to vote?
We're getting ready to
We're
vote.
at the discussion stage.
All right, I need to take this real quick. Yes,
Madam
Good
Chair,
Lord.
just to add what Adam just said, that when these designs are produced, that there would be a second meeting or third meeting with those pond residents.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Want to make sure
Okay.
that got thrown in there. I'm gonna start acting like the governor.
He's a very hand talker.
We're diving, we're like driving, we're
So-
detours.
we used to call it parking planes.
So Debbie, you made the original motion, or did you second? I'm sorry.
I made the original motion as revised to have a discussion with these folks.
Okay. All right, and
Thank you.
Laura, you still remain the second on that one?
Yes.
Good. Are you back, Mary Jane?
I am.
All right, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All right. Mike, are you
An
wanting to
aye.
say?
Yes,
Hold on, I didn't call your name yet. Laura,
Yes. Aye.
Debbie,
Aye.
Les,
Aye.
Mike Blackwell,
yes.
Mary Jane,
Aye.
Pam Dugan, aye. Motion carries. Okay. Do you have one more item on your manager's report?
Finally, we did receive a conditional award for our DNR Lake and River Enhancement Grant. It's in the amount of $5,000. It does require the expenditure of $5,000 for the match. However, we already have $50,000 budgeted. We'll have no issue reaching that $5,000 match money, but we do have to officially accept it and then give out the winner of the contract. We only received one bid for this, which was aquatic control. So I would like to go ahead and recommend that we accept the $5,000 grant award from DNR and with the utilization of aquatic control for the vegetation treatment.
May I have a motion in that regard, please?
I will make a motion that we accept the DNR Lair grant.
Second.
Thank you, Laura. It has been moved and seconded that we accept the grant from DNR. All those in favor, or any further discussion? Sorry. I'm back to my old routine. Roll call vote again. Laura,
Aye.
Debbie,
Aye.
Les,
Aye.
Mike B,
Yes.
Mary Jane,
Aye.
me, aye. All motion carries. Thank you. Old habits die hard. All right, that brings us to new, and I would put / slightly unfinished business. You guys got a copy today at my request of the fishing rules. I know we've had some angst around. I think we've, tried to deal, Adam's had to do it, not me, but tried to deal a little bit with these folks. And I know it's frustrating. Anybody, we don't have much enforcement capability. I know I would be frustrated if people were crawling on my dock at any time, not just in this particular COVID time. I'm not sure how much further we can really go with this. I think we've done a pretty good job, but it sounds like things are a little crazy. Thoughts?
Well, I reached out to Mary Jane on the weekend because we were out there and this guy was really combative with me, and I didn't bother I didn't want to be a real stinker about it, but I just merely went out like he was like right by the end of our dock, right by our boat. And I said, you're supposed to be 50 feet out. Why? I pay my $135 for a permit and you don't own this water and it's public water. He was really combative. I mean, I just finally just kind of walked away. I didn't want to say how much I pay in taxes for my place either. But then later in the afternoon, another fisherman came by. At that point, my grandkids were swimming in the water, like they weren't in the water then, but they were running up and jumping in. And his line was right at our ladder at the end of the dock. Now he was nice. And I just said, this is just way too close. My grandkids are swimming. And he moved on down to Ritter's old place, Schwab's. And, we heard them yelling at him and said, you got to be 50 feet away. So somehow I looked on the website today to see where do we post it. I guess my only comments about this would be, it's too much reading. Like, I don't know where this is going to be, but can we just like shorten it up? Do not blah, 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 blah. And then it's, what do we do about the enforcement? So
Well,
those are my comments.
We created signs with the codes of conduct that are going to be posted at the gatehouse and at the ramp right there. So historically, it did say occupied docks you couldn't fish around. Then if docks are unoccupied, to stay a reasonable distance. In order to try to appease some of the freeholders, we did put in the 50-foot mark on there, kind of change the codes of conduct as their suggested codes. Then we had an uproar from fishermen with a conversation from DNR conservation officers. They said that unless people are physically on the private property, there's nothing illegal. Why it would be respectful to stay away unless they're actually entering or standing on the property. Essentially, the conservation officer was, well, they can be wherever they want on the water. So I think just really the suggestions and the codes of conduct and talking to them. Saturday was a crazy day. We had a fishing tournament going on, and we just had a ton of boats. It was over a $10,000 day just on Saturday, which I think is probably one of the top 3 revenue days I've ever seen on the lake, even more so than 4th of July and Memorial Day. So I think that kind of added to the hecticness of it. We do have the patrol boat up and running, and we were going out and taking turns, kind of doing laps and that. I mean, I think that the biggest thing that we can do is inform them and say that, hey, the biggest thing is staying away from docks when people are on them, and then being respectful when they're not. What you run into is that docks are probably 80% of the structure in the lake where the fish like to hang out around on. So I'm not positive we're ever going to be able to completely change that behavior of fishing along the docks. So I think just kind of the education and saying being courteous is about the extent that we can take that.
Yes, Les?
Yeah, now, Adam, didn't you say though, we do have the right to not allow or actually bar people from launching? Is that correct?
That is true. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing that we can do is deny access. And we have encouraged freeholders in the past that if they are having the same or repeat offenders, go ahead and write down IN numbers of the boat and or their pass numbers, because we can get their information both from our database, or if they bought a day pass, I can get the information from DNR where their residents are to be able to
better yet, just videotape them.
Yeah.
But as far as the codes of conduct go, I mean, I do agree. The longer you make stuff, the less people read. And maybe we might want to trim that down just a little bit to emphasize what we're worried about, which right now is people fishing too close. And so for example, obviously we don't want people littering, but people know you're not supposed to litter. I would drop that one. I mean, that's kind of like putting up a sign that says "Don't rob the grocery store." And I think there's some opportunity there to just maybe make that a little bit smaller. But then, having said that, though, one thing I would add is just say violations may result in you being barred access to the lake.
And it does say that on the bottom of the signs.
It
And
does.
the signs are big. They're 2 foot by 3 feet, so it's 1-inch letters on there.
Okay, I was looking at the code of conduct document that was today.
On the very
Oh,
bottom,
okay, all right, I'm sorry, it was off my screen. It's at the very bottom.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, disregard.
Mary Jane, did you have a thought?
I have a couple thoughts. One was that because the reason Debbie reached out to me was that this particular fisherman said that he had spoken to me, and apparently that made it all okay. for
I
him.
spoke to the vice president, and I'm like, oh, you talked to Mary Jane? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, well.
Maybe he was talking to Pence.
We're not going to name, I prefer not to name him if we can avoid it. But when Debbie said that he seemed, what was your word?
Combative.
Combative.
He
When
was just like,
I had spoken to him a few weeks ago. He was not at all combative.
Mm.
And he was just trying to understand and what the rules were. And I think that maybe it is incumbent on all of us, not just the board, but all of the freeholders to understand, and the fishermen, that this has been an incredibly stressful time for everyone.
yeah.
And so tempers might be a little short, and we'll do the best we can. And I like Les's idea that you would just take a picture or do a short video if somebody's in violation. And if that happens multiple times, then you have a conversation with those individuals.
Makes sense. Alex, do you have a question coming through? I see your hand, or are you just holding your fevered brow?
Oh, no. Well, I'm too tall. My hand would be off the screen.
Oh.
Mary Jane, are you speaking of the person that we each spoke to 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
That is not the same person. Just so you know. It was not him that is in question right now.
Oh,
Oh, why did he come and complain about me?
No, I know the whole group of people.
Oh,
You need to have a talk with them then, Alex.
Yeah, oh, I will. Don't worry. I don't know personally the guy that Debbie's talking about, but I do know who it is.
oh, you do. Okay.
so they were using my name.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was told that day that by another guy that is actually my friend who was not being combative, that his guy that he was talking to over by Debbie's dock, he was yelling at Debbie about, it was the whole thing.
He was bad. I just was
All
like,
right. Well, I think that your point about tempers running high, it is a tough time, I think, and everybody's prone to a little worse behavior. Mike B, did you have a comment?
Several
Missy.
comments. I'll be real brief, but when people stop me on the lake, I tell them I know Mary Jane Brown. But when Jill Berman's dad used to run the patrol boat, he wrote tickets, warning tickets and fines. And so I don't know, that might have been because Bob Madden was a reserve deputy. I'm not really sure. Do you know, Adam, about that back in that time? I know that
So they were able to write tickets at the time. I'm not sure. We had a whole stack of warning tickets at one point that I think had dust collected on them. Bob was deputized, but I think it was stuff that had to be in the ordinances. And I think believe the biggest thing was boat passes, annual passes. But the fishing frequency or closeness to docks is not a legal ordinance.
yeah, it wasn't in there because I
No,
looked.
It's not, but it could be something that we use our broad powers for, and we give the boat patrol guy. Here's how you correct behavior, is you make them think that you're going to take money from them. People correct their behavior very quickly when they think it's going to cost them money. I can tell you that from 35 years experience. And so you know, if we have to issue warning tickets and write down their name on their boat or whatever, hell, I'll ride the patrol boat and write tickets if we're, you know. if
No,
we-
and we can, but let's not spill all of our beans and tricks on the public comments.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
I told you, you know, they're running up and down that channel full throttle.
Yeah, and we will have the buoys will be in this week as long as, excuse me, as well as the slow no wake signs there. We've rescued them all and actually got some in. We've started buoy work, and that should be completed this week. So
And I
You got-
I
you still
definitely
got-
need one.
Yeah, you still got 2 or 3 over in my channel or in my bay, in the Hingaville Bay.
I saw the one in the debris over there, which we'll have to grab. So.
Okay, and a
And you-
channel marker, okay.
You have some too, Laura, in your,
I don't have any outside of the marina right now.
and you should have, how many?
One by
One.
the gas dock. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So that's this week, Adam?
Yeah, they'll be in by the end of the week.
All right. Okay.
So Pam,
Yes, ma'am.
are Adam and Alex going to take and kind of revise these a little bit and kind of make them a little more succinct? And I'd say if our big concern is these behaviors, we should start with that instead of making it to the end. I mean, I think, and then Les has brought up in the past a lot of concerns about jet skis. And is there anything specific that, you know, you want added for that? I don't know. Just a
Mary
thought.
Jane, you had your hand up pretty quickly in response.
I am happy to do a revision and give it to Adam and Alex to vet.
Okay.
So if you,
And then we'll send it around.
yeah, and then we'll send it around.
Sounds good.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing during the summer how many children I have to escort on jet skis home to make sure they go there and get off of it.
So
Yeah.
freeholders,
Yeah.
guests.
Oh
or-
yeah, I'll see kids that don't look a day over 8 years old, and I'll have to follow them home on the dock and tell the parents that they're required to have a license and or a boating permit and
Yeah.
Oh, that's just flat out dangerous. Yes, Les?
Well, and then the conservation officers can ticket them for that, though. I mean, that is a state
Absolutely.
law.
Yes.
And then just once again, a reminder, I keep bringing up this idea of having the IU cadets. I just don't want to lose sight of that because, you talk about the image and stuff. I mean, they are sworn officers. They look like cops,
Yeah.
and that I think would be an effective tool. And I mean, if it really gets to be a big issue, I mean, we could try to get the city to pass that ordinance, just because it's not a state law. I mean, we could still make our own ordinance for that if we want to, but we got a lot of irons in the fire right now. And I
Right.
think it's worse now just because everybody's out fishing because there's nothing else to do,
yeah.
Right.
The state
Absolutely.
parks, I've been hiking and stuff. I mean, you can't hardly park at the trailheads, I mean, it's everybody's out just to get out.
Yeah. Yes, Alex?
I have 2 public comments whenever we get to a section like that.
Debbie? Are you?
I have more comment, and I don't know if this would be the place to handle it, Adam, but you might want to, we witnessed, there is a place next to our place where people can put their boats in the water, and people are coming there, putting their boats in and day out. So I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
it's tough.
I talked to Laura and, anyway, I don't know if this is someplace that you should mention that, but like they're parking at the top of our driveway and, and then, it's just a habit that's been formed. And now it's new owners there too. The guy's really nice. But just mentioning it.
Yeah, we'll do. As we get a little bit further into the season, we actually pull over tons of people on weekends that don't have annual passes and ask for their day pass. And if they don't have passes, we will make them head back to the office to purchase one. So we do patrol the passes pretty hard during the summertime. It's a little latency right now since we just started doing sales. But yeah, we keep an eye on for that, and I appreciate the heads up.
Tickets.
Mike, B?
Yeah, Adam, if you are going to be digging in a couple of weeks, I would ask you to call the electrical company and put resistors on the lines that go over Salmon Harbor. So you guys can get the excavator underneath there. I think you said it'd be about 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Yep. Before we
And
get
and then it'll take 3 or 4 weeks for them to get the resistors on those lines.
It's probably right.
It will. It did. So if Alex or you could make that call today, I would appreciate it.
Okay. Alex, you said you had 2 comments, questions?
Yes. So Kathy McClure has a question. I'm not sure quite how to go about it, but she says she would like to do an informal survey to get topics for the upcoming newsletters, i.e., do they have any ideas for articles? How are you keeping busy during quarantine, etc.? And she would also like to ask if they have any special Lake Lemon memories or history they would like to share. This would give me ideas for the newsletter. And then begin the process of getting some input for the fundraising document and video.
Who is they?
You.
Meaning us.
The board
Yes.
That's
or all freeholders?
I'm guessing the board right
The
now
board, okay.
in this situation.
why doesn't she send us an email?
Kathy, they want you to send them an email.
Debbie?
I was thinking, and I was going to ask this question related to communication. I was looking on the website for recent communications. I thought that we were going to have Adam, the Lake Lemon manager. I thought we were kind of moving away from that newsletter for a while, and that he was going to have communications coming directly from him. Am I dreaming that up, Mary Jane, or what
No,
side?
no, we did talk about that, but then things
All that
kind of,
broken.
And I've been trying
on in
to
different directions.
put in some updates when I send out the constant contact stuff as far as past sales and what we're doing. And I'll have one coming out here soon. Again, saying that we have the gatehouse open now for sales. And
You might want to put a reminder about the beach area, because I'm on next door to Lake Lemon, and a bunch of people were muttering about that and complaining that our beach area wasn't big enough and why can't you do boats there, and blah blah. There was a lot of boats parked there this weekend and a lot of people on the beach.
well, we'll have before our permit passes, that whole beach will be blocked off, and we'll be bringing in trucks to spread gravel at the new boat mooring area. So we'll probably get a lot more complaints once they can't park there at all.
Sure. Well, are the buoys up and the ropes up in the beach area?
No, we have an inspection coming up. Technically, we don't open up till Memorial Day weekend. So we'll have those in by next week prior to our inspection with the health department.
Okay. Back to Kathy. I would echo Mary Jane's thought. Why don't Kathy email the board those thoughts, questions, and you guys be on the lookout for that. Does that make sense?
She also wanted to clarify that she meant all freeholders in
Okay.
terms of feedback for kind of ideas for articles and whatnot.
Okay. How about,
I can put that in there that I'll include her email, where if they want to contact her about that, then they can.
okay. Is that all right with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah,
Alex, is there another comment or
Yeah,
question?
Kevin Fagan asked me to interject that there are several families of geese with multiple babies around near the spillway, counted at least 15 babies.
I have
And
Marina.
he knows that we had discussed addressing them as eggs, and apparently we have missed that chance. So any options to deal with them post hatching?
Oh,
Les, this is your area of expertise.
That's right.
I think this is the
oh,
board meeting.
I just took video of some that were really, they're so cute.
No, don't say it, Deb.
No, they're not.
Don't
They're
say it.
Well,
Les, you are the geese police. What do you think?
Yeah, their poop isn't cute. I'll tell you that right now. Well, we did talk about this before, and there is the options, and we still could do the euthanasia thing, or euthanize them. which if we do miss the egg thing, but is that early, Adam? I mean, it seems.
No,
Really,
it's
but-
about time. Generally, the biggest place that we can really look at is the island. And there really wasn't any nesting on the island because of the pelicans. A big gang of pelicans came and chased all the geese off the island. So there weren't nests there. So when we checked it out, we didn't see any active nests there. I think that'd be a good, we are past the time period for treating the eggs through Adaline and or using oil. But I think in the newspaper, that'd be a good thing, just where, again, I think we did put it in a newsletter that under our permit, people can treat the eggs in the nest. Maybe that's another communication that we have in the winter time about how to properly do that and to notify us.
Yeah. Were you
I don't-
guys able to get out and treat any at all?
Really, the only place that we can check is the island, where they're generally located at. And besides that, I mean, it's an Easter egg goose hunt.
Yeah.
As far, so unless we get notified of where there's actual nests at, it's a egg in a lake shoreline haystack.
Well, I'm not for killing them now that they're here. I think it's our opportunity.
Alex, is that the extent of the questions, comments?
Yeah, Kathy had a follow-up saying that we could make the newsletter for May more generic and public interest rather than having any specific dates and upcoming events. But I agree with the email chain. I think that would probably be the best way to sort that out. And then Kevin Fagan said the land near the spillway, north and south.
We'll reach out to them after the meeting.
Okay,
Perfect.
yes, Les?
Yeah, just another thought on the geese. You know, what I did was I went down to the fireworks store and bought about 1,000 bottle rockets. And when they come into my yard, I sneak, so they don't see you. And as soon as they hear me light the lighter, though, they perk up. But by then it's too late, and I blast them with about 3 or 4 of them things, and it runs them off.
This
You
is
know,
not
you just
an
gotta
official
stay on it.
recommendation.
Huh?
I said this is not an official Lake Lemon recommendation.
Oh, well, it works.
Les,
Mary Jane?
Les, did you get that idea from that movie Steel Magnolias?
Um,
Garrett
no.
shoot fireworks into the trees.
Drum, yes. Oh, that's funny. All right. Is that the extent of the comment?
Yes.
At this moment in time, as you all know, I guess our next meeting is scheduled to be May 28th. So it'll be the week after, Thursday after Memorial Day. Who knows? So I think we'll keep that for this moment, see what happens in Monroe County with CBU. I'd like to keep that meeting. If we have to do it this way again, so be it. But I think what we'll do is right now, just stay tuned like we did this time.
Okay.
Fair
When
enough?
did you say that meeting was going to be?
Then our next scheduled meeting is May the 28th, Thursday.
Thank you. Okay.
I guess there's a lot to happen between now and then that
Yeah.
will determine how we approach that. Yes, Debbie?
Will we be getting an update? I appreciate your email over the weekend, Adam, but I do think we need to, in our communication to freeholders, let them know what's open, whose guidance we're following, when we can open. How do we block off people from coming to the beach if they're not supposed to be at the beach, because they were there. So I feel like we need an update from you on that.
All right.
Okay. Well, especially as the
I'm
weather.
happy to help with that too.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
I
I'm happy.
wouldn't have sent that email out about I didn't know you were going to open the gatehouse. I'm glad you did. There was no idea.
Yeah, it was a record.
What, excuse me, part of it was, I don't think until Friday when the governor made his announcements, or Thursday, whichever day it was,
Friday.
Friday.
there wouldn't have been any way for us to know exactly what we would be doing or any kind of a guideline to go by.
Well, there were several emails sent out. I think Les sent one out about Monroe County and Debbie sent one out. And, well, what are we going to do? And I'm glad that Adam opened the gatehouse. I thought it was the right thing to do. I think that's what we need to start doing and I just got a question. So is the office going to be staffed then starting Monday through Friday?
Well, I mean, we're there Monday through Friday, but it's going to be closed to the public still. Monroe County extended through the 15th. And
Yeah.
I think we'll keep it closed to the public until we get guidance from the governor otherwise.
Okay, so if somebody wants to buy a season boat pass, a freeholder, they need to call.
Yeah, call on Mondays or Wednesdays. We're still continuing that. And then we'll have Gatehouse out again Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay,
Most of the Gatehouse guys are going through end of semester finals this week. And since we actually missed a whole month of weekend, we do have enough hours to potentially within the next week or so open the Gatehouse full time. So
Okay. All right.
Laura,
Yes.
Laura, should you articulate to the group what you're doing since you're the business on the lake?
Yes, I am open on the weekends now from 10 to 5. I am selling permits, but I'm doing it by taking orders outside. I come into the building, get what they need and take them back out to them, run credit cards inside, whatever I need to do. I work weekdays by appointment. People call me if they want in to put their boats in, buy their permits, whatever. I'm available to do that. I just cannot let them into the building yet.
yeah. Yeah, put a table out there and put a rock out there so they can leave their money under the rock and then you take it and put it back under the rock. I mean, it's simple.
and we're still getting a decent amount of mail too. I mean, so if you want to mail in a letter with a check, we'll turn that around the next day and get it back out to you.
Yeah, if you mail a check, please include your name.
Sounds like that's been a problem.
Sometimes we get company checks and I can't read very
Oh, dear.
signatures.
Laura, sounds like the only thing missing is a hamburger stand.
That's right. We need that.
Oh, there you go. Well, guys, thanks so much for your time. To our public, thanks for tuning in. I think I would entertain a motion to adjourn if no one has anything
I
further.
make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Laura.
Second,
Mary Jane has seconded it. Laura, vote please.
Oh, aye.
Debbie,
Aye.
Les,
I,
Mike,
Yes.
and Mary Jane,
aye.
and I'm an aye. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll be in touch as to next steps.
All right.
okay,
Thank you.
Bye.
safe.